The billionaire's fiancée poured boiling tea across the maid's hand in front of 200 guests, then calmly blamed her for being careless. The maid's cry cut through the ballroom. A silver tray crashed against the marble floor. Crystal cups shattered beneath the chandeliers. Conversations stopped as steam rose from the woman's burned skin. Yet no one stepped forward. Not the politicians standing beside the fireplace. Not the investors holding champagne. Not the society reporters who had spent the evening praising the fiancé's charitable heart. Camille Laurent believed everyone important was watching her. She never looked toward the dark doorway behind the grand staircase. That was where billionaire Ethan Ashford stood, completely motionless, having witnessed every cruel second. And when he finally stepped out of the shadows, Camille understood that the woman she had tried to silence was no longer the person in greatest danger. Before the story begins, tell us where you are watching from today. And stay until the end, because the maid's burned hand would lead Ethan to a hidden painting, a stolen fortune, and the truth about the woman he was days away from marrying. Lila Moreno had worked at Ashford House for 16 months. At 31, she had mastered the quiet movements expected from household staff. She entered rooms without interrupting conversations, removed empty glasses before anyone requested it, and remembered exactly how every guest preferred their coffee. She was patient, observant, and almost impossible to surprise. Her 8-year-old daughter, Nora, often said her mother could see things hidden behind walls. Lila would laugh whenever she heard that. The truth was that she had spent most of her life noticing details other people ignored. Before becoming a maid, Lila had been an art conservator. She had trained for 6 years, studying pigments, canvas, varnish, and the tiny cracks that revealed a painting's true age. She could look at a brushstroke and recognize the difference between something created a century ago and something made last month to appear old. For a time, she had worked at a respected museum in Boston. Then a wealthy donor asked her to authenticate a painting she believed was forged. When Lila refused to sign the report, the donor threatened the museum's funding. Her supervisors changed her conclusions, removed her name, and quietly ended her contract. Lila tried to fight. But she was newly widowed, raising Nora alone and already drowning beneath medical bills from her husband's final illness. The museum had lawyers. Lila had rent. Within a year, she was cleaning the homes of people who collected paintings she could have restored. She kept her old magnifying lens inside a wooden box beneath her bed and told herself that part of her life was over. Ethan Ashford knew none of this. At 37, he owned Ashford Hotels, a global chain known for turning historic buildings into luxury properties. He had inherited wealth, but he had multiplied it through discipline and relentless work. People called him controlled, serious, and difficult to impress. The household staff knew another side. Ethan thanked employees by name. He remembered birthdays. When the gardener's wife needed surgery, he quietly paid the hospital without allowing anyone to announce it. He was not perfect. He worked too much, trusted too slowly, and often believed silence meant everything was fine. That was why he had failed to notice Camille's true nature. Camille Laurent was the daughter of a celebrated art dealer and the public face of the Laurent Children's Foundation. She gave speeches about compassion, posed beside hospital beds, and wore white whenever photographers were present. Inside Ashford House, she treated the employees as though kindness toward them would lower her status. She criticized their accents. She accused them of laziness. She once ordered a young server to stand outside in the cold because he had placed the wrong flowers on her table. Whenever Ethan entered, Camille became warm and charming again. Lila had watched the transformation many times. She had never spoken about it. The job paid Nora's school fees. Silence felt safer than courage. The engagement celebration was held on a Friday evening. 200 guests filled the ballroom beneath golden chandeliers and white climbing roses. A string quartet played near the windows while reporters photographed Ethan and Camille beside a painting displayed on a raised platform. The painting was called The Blue Orchard. It had been created by the renowned artist Lila Moreno more than 100 years earlier and had belonged to Camille's family for generations. That evening, Camille announced it would be auctioned at the couple's wedding gala. The money would supposedly build a pediatric treatment center. Guests applauded. Lila stood near the platform holding a tray. When she looked at the painting, something felt wrong. The blue pigment was too bright. The varnish reflected the chandelier differently near the lower corner. Most people saw a beautiful orchard beneath a moonlit sky. Lila saw a surface that had been aged artificially. She moved closer while replacing an empty champagne glass. At the bottom of the frame, hidden beneath the gold edge, she noticed a line of fresh adhesive. The painting was not the original. Camille appeared beside her. "What are you staring at?" Lila stepped back. "Nothing, Miss Lauren. You have been looking at that painting all evening. I was checking whether the platform needed cleaning." Camille's eyes narrowed. "You know something about art?" The question sounded casual, but Lila heard the danger beneath it. "A little." "You are a maid." "Yes." "That wasn't my question." Before Lila could answer, Ethan approached with 2 investors. Camille immediately smiled and slipped her arm through his. "Lila was just admiring my family's masterpiece," she said. Ethan glanced at the painting. "It is difficult not to." Lila lowered her eyes. "I should return to the kitchen." As she walked away, she felt Camille watching her. 20 minutes later, the head housekeeper sent Lila to serve tea near the ballroom's eastern alcove. Nora was also at Ashford House that evening. Her usual babysitter had cancelled, so she waited in the staff library with colored pencils, sandwiches, and Lila's phone. Nora had spent the first hour drawing the people she saw entering the party. She gave every wealthy guest a crown, except Ethan. When the housekeeper asked why, Nora explained that Ethan already looked uncomfortable enough. In the ballroom, Lila arranged porcelain cups beside a large silver urn filled with boiling tea. Camille approached when Ethan disappeared upstairs to take a business call. "Come with me," she ordered. Lila followed her into the eastern alcove, still visible to most of the ballroom but far enough from the musicians that their conversation could not be heard clearly. Camille looked toward the painting. "What did you notice?" "I don't understand." "You understood perfectly." Lila kept her expression still. "The varnish appears new." Camille's smile disappeared. "Be careful. The canvas displayed tonight may not be the same one described in the catalogue. You polish furniture for a living." "I was trained in conservation." Camille studied her as if seeing her for the first time. "Who have you told?" "No one." "And you won't. If that painting is being auctioned for charity, it needs to be examined." Camille stepped closer. "You lost your career for accusing powerful people once before. I know exactly who you are, Lila." Cold fear moved through her. "You investigated me?" "I investigate anyone who forgets her place." Camille glanced at the steaming urn. "Serve me." Lila lifted the teapot carefully and poured tea into a porcelain cup. Camille did not take it. Instead, she examined Lila's hands. "Conservators need steady fingers, don't they?" Lila's heart began pounding. "Please take the cup." Camille reached for it, then deliberately struck the bottom of the teapot. Boiling tea spilled across Lila's right hand. Lila cried out. The teapot fell and shattered. She stumbled against the table, clutching her wrist as the skin across her fingers turned red. Every conversation in the ballroom stopped. Camille stepped back. "How careless," she announced loudly. "You could have burned me." Lila stared at her through tears of pain. You did that deliberately. Camille's expression hardened. Do not accuse me because you cannot perform a simple task. The guests watched. A few appeared shocked. None moved. Camille lowered her voice. Perhaps now you will stop touching things that do not belong to you. A calm voice came from behind her. Perhaps you should explain what you believe she touched. Camille turned. Ethan stood beneath the archway. He had returned through the private staircase and heard the final part of their conversation. His face contained no visible anger. That frightened Camille immediately. Ethan, thank goodness. She dropped the tea and nearly burned me. I watched you hit the pot. The color disappeared from Camille's face. You misunderstand. I watched you ask about her hands. I watched you strike the teapot. And I heard you threaten her. He walked past Camille and approached Lila. Her hand was shaking violently. Do not move your fingers, he said. We need cool water, not ice. He turned toward the house manager. Call the doctor. Now. Ethan took a clean linen napkin, dampened it with cool water and wrapped it gently around Lila's hand. Camille attempted to touch his shoulder. He moved away. It was an accident. No. She was threatening my family's reputation. Ethan looked at her. How? Camille hesitated. Lila answered through the pain. The painting is a forgery. Whispers moved across the ballroom. Camille's expression changed from panic to fury. She has no idea what she is saying. I was an art conservator. You were dismissed from a museum for dishonesty. I was dismissed because I refused to authenticate another forgery. Ethan slowly stood. He looked toward the blue orchard. Then he looked at Camille. Is that the original painting? Of course it is. Then you will have no objection to an independent examination. Camille folded her arms. This is our engagement party, not a courtroom. You turned it into one when you burned an employee to protect that canvas. The doctor arrived from among the guests and examined Lila's hand. The burn was serious but unlikely to cause permanent damage if treated immediately. As the housekeeper led Lila toward the medical room, Nora appeared at the ballroom entrance. She had heard someone say her mother's name. The child saw the wet cloth around Lila's hand and ran toward her. Mommy. I'm all right, Lila whispered. Nora looked at Camille. What did she do? Camille's patience snapped. Your mother burned herself because she was careless. Nora stared at her. My mom isn't careless. This is an adult situation. My mom says adults only say that when children notice something they wanted hidden. A few guests lowered their eyes to hide surprised smiles. Ethan looked toward Nora. What were you doing in the library? Drawing. Did you see anyone near the painting tonight? Nora thought for a moment. The lady in white went into the gallery before everyone came. Camille stiffened. You must be confused. Nora held up Lila's phone. I was making a video for Mommy because the flowers moved when the doors opened. The child had unknowingly recorded part of the gallery entrance through the library's glass doors. In the background, Camille could be seen directing two men to remove a covered painting from the private gallery and replace it with the one now displayed in the ballroom. The recording did not prove which painting was original. But it proved Camille had lied. Ethan watched the video twice. Then he turned to security. Close the gallery. No painting leaves this property. Preserve every camera recording and contact Dr. Halpern at the National Art Institute. Camille grabbed his arm. Ethan, please. We can discuss this privately. You burned Lila publicly. His voice dropped lower. So the truth will not be hidden for your comfort. The engagement is over, he continued. You will leave Ashford House tonight. Camille stared at him. You are throwing away our future because of a servant. Her name is Lila. You barely know her. I know she told the truth while you tried to destroy the hand capable of proving it. Camille looked toward the guests. You are humiliating me. No, Ethan said. I am refusing to protect you from the consequences of your own actions. Lila was taken to the hospital. Ethan drove her and Nora himself. During the journey, Nora sat beside her mother, holding the uninjured hand. Will you still be able to draw paintings? She asked. I repaired paintings. Will you still be able to do that? Lila looked at the bandages. I don't know. Ethan heard the fear in her voice. At the hospital, the doctor confirmed she had suffered a deep second-degree burn across 2 fingers and part of her palm. Recovery would take weeks. Fine movement might return completely, but only with treatment and physical therapy. Lila listened silently. Her hand had once been the last part of her old identity that still felt like her own. Now even that had been attacked. Ethan remained in the waiting room until after midnight. When Lila was discharged, he drove them to their apartment. It was small but warm, with Nora's drawings covering the refrigerator and art books stacked beneath the coffee table. Ethan noticed a framed photograph of Lila standing beside a restored 19th-century portrait. You were good, he said. I was careful. That is not the same thing. It is in conservation. She placed her injured hand on the table. I cannot become your next charity project. I did not come here to offer charity. What are you offering? Protection. Treatment. And the chance to finish telling the truth. Lila looked away. The last time I told the truth, I lost everything. This time, you will not stand alone. The independent examination began the following morning. Experts confirmed that the painting displayed at the engagement party was a sophisticated forgery. The original had been removed from Camille's family vault 6 months earlier. Financial records revealed it had been sold secretly to a private buyer overseas for $12 million. Camille's father's art business was failing. She had used the sale to cover debts, then planned to auction the forgery at the wedding gala and donate only a small portion of the proceeds. The Children's Treatment Center had been nothing more than a story designed for cameras. Camille denied everything. Then she attacked Lila publicly. She told reporters that a bitter former conservator had invented the scandal to attract Ethan's attention. She claimed Lila had deliberately burned herself and manipulated her daughter to destroy the engagement. The accusations spread quickly. Photographers appeared outside Nora's school. Lila called Ethan. I'm leaving the city. Where will you go? Anywhere she cannot find my daughter. Running will not stop her. Staying might hurt Nora. There was silence on the line. Then Ethan said, the original painting has been recovered. Lila closed her eyes. Where? A private collection in Geneva. The buyer is cooperating. We have the shipping documents and Camille's signatures. That proves the sale. It proves everything. Ethan paused. The foundation gala is tomorrow. Camille has announced that she will appear and clear her name. Lila understood what he was asking. I cannot stand in another ballroom while people stare at me. You do not have to. Will the truth come out without me? Yes. Lila looked toward Nora, who was drawing at the kitchen table. Then she looked at her bandaged hand. No, she said. I want to be there. The foundation gala was held inside the Ashford Museum. More than 300 donors and reporters filled the central hall. Camille arrived in white and walked onto the stage as though she were the victim. She spoke about betrayal, jealousy, and the danger of believing employees who wanted access to powerful men. Then the doors opened. Ethan entered with Lila beside him. Her burned hand was still bandaged, But she wore a simple black dress and carried herself with the calm dignity Camille had always hated. Nora walked between them. Camille's voice faltered. "There she is," she said. "The maid who decided she understood my family's art better than experts." Lila approached the stage. "I did not need to understand your family," she replied. "I only needed to understand paint." The screen behind Camille displayed scientific scans of the forgery. Experts explained the modern pigments, fresh adhesive, and artificial aging. Then shipping documents appeared. Bank transfers followed. Finally, security footage showed Camille replacing the painting and striking the teapot against Lila's hand. The audience watched without speaking. Camille turned toward Ethan. "You were going to marry me. I was going to marry the person you pretended to be. You believe her over me. I believe facts. Lila was simply brave enough to show them to me." Police officers approached the stage. Camille looked at Lila with open hatred. "You think this makes you important?" Lila raised her bandaged hand. "No. I was important when I was cleaning your floors. I was important when no one in that ballroom defended me. Your mistake was believing dignity belongs only to people with money." The first applause came from the museum conservators. Then the servers and cleaners joined them. Within moments, the entire hall stood. Camille was escorted away while cameras recorded the collapse of the image she had spent years creating. The original painting was returned. Its sale funded the Children's Treatment Center exactly as promised, but this time under independent supervision. Ethan offered Lila a position as Director of Preservation for Ashford Hotels, overseeing the restoration of artwork in historic properties around the world. She refused at first. "My hand may never be the same. Then build a team whose hands you trust. I have been away too long. Knowledge does not disappear because cruel people stop recognizing it." After weeks of therapy, Lila regained almost all movement in her fingers. She accepted the position. Her first project was restoring a forgotten mural inside an abandoned hotel that Ethan transformed into affordable housing for hospital families. Their relationship developed slowly. There were no dramatic promises. Only shared coffee, rehabilitation appointments, and evenings when Ethan helped Nora paint stars on cardboard while Lila laughed at his complete lack of artistic ability. 1 year later, Lila stood beneath the restored mural with Ethan beside her. A small silver teacup was displayed inside a glass case near the entrance. It was not the one that had burned her. It represented the night everything hidden had finally been revealed. "Does seeing it still hurt?" Ethan asked. Lila looked at her hand. A faint scar remained across 2 fingers. "Sometimes. I wish I had stepped out sooner." "You stepped out when it mattered." Ethan took her uninjured hand. "I don't want to rescue you, Lila. That is good, because I do not need rescuing. I know. I would simply like to walk beside you." She smiled. Slowly. Very slowly. Nora appeared behind them holding a paintbrush. "He doesn't understand slowly," she announced. "He asked about dinner 3 times. Ethan laughed. Lila looked from her daughter to the man who had learned that silence inside a beautiful house did not always mean peace. The scar on her hand remained. But it no longer represented the moment Camille had tried to destroy her. It represented the moment Lila stopped hiding the truth to protect people who had never protected her. Because dignity is not granted by wealth. Truth does not become less valuable because it comes from a maid. And sometimes, the person standing quietly in the corner is the only one who can see that the masterpiece everyone admires is nothing more than a carefully painted lie. If this story touched your heart, like the video, subscribe and share it with someone who needs a reminder that courage may leave scars, but it can also reveal the truth.